2B2T is pretty much the Wild West of Minecraft. There are almost no rules, and even the ones that are there tend to be exploited by people for their own gain. So what could possibly have brought about the fall of Minecraft's 2B2T? That's what we're taking a look at today. Welcome back, friends, and a special welcome to all the new friends out there. I'm YoBGS, and if you are a new friend, please make sure to check and see if you're subscribed. We're closing in on 55K, which I still cannot believe. I also can't believe that FitMC uploaded this video a few weeks ago. Now, I've seen pretty much everything on FitMC's channel. I can't get enough of the lore of Minecraft's 2B2T. You know, there have been days it's almost died, books have gotten people banned, bread's been weaponized, all sorts of stuff. So what is going to bring about the fall of Minecraft's 2B2T? Am I getting clickbaited? That's what I want to know. And all I know is I cannot wait to go on this journey with FitMC and find out what the heck messed up one of the oldest anarchy servers in Minecraft so badly.
2T, the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft, has
Dude, I'm always so jealous of Fit's voice. I do it on my stream all the time. You always gotta be like the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft.
just spent the past 4
By the way, I don't know if he's still streaming. He stopped for a little while because he started getting like stream sniped every week. What the hell are these blocks? First of all, but second of all, if you've never checked out FitMC's streams, he just looks for bases on 2B2T. It's like the most chill thing ever on a Sunday morning.
weeks in complete turmoil. An infamous group of
Looks like
hackers has been using an exploit against the entire server for the past 3 years in secret, and it's finally been revealed to the public. As someone who has covered Minecraft exploits for years, I can safely say this is the most powerful and destructive one I have ever seen.
What?
The ultimate coordinate exploit.
I'm already not surprised by the way that it looks like the Matrix, just with all of... I don't know what any of this stuff is, but like, I'm already not surprised. There are people that have backdoored their way onto the server before, so of course, this is somehow even more complex.
Ever seen. The ultimate coordinate exploit, capable of tracking the real-time movements of over 300,000 players
What?
across all 3 of Minecraft's dimensions.
What? Okay, so that explains probably why he was getting stream sniped for such a long time.
15,000 bases were found using this exploit. There was nowhere to run or hide. It was used to grief countless builds and steal over 200 million Minecraft items from stashes.
I already love this lore, and I already hate this lore. This has been the biggest issue I've had every time I've talked about 2B2T. For me, it's so hard to understand. Like, let me go back to... It's so hard for me to understand why you would build something like this in a place where it can turn into something like this. And people always try and explain it to me, and I just... Because, like, it definitely sounds like these people are clearly cheating. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't find this base legitimately. They didn't even find it through like social engineering, you know, tricking someone into giving up coordinates. Like, they're flat out cheating. Although, I guess you can't cheat in a place that has no rules.
100 million Minecraft items from stashes.
Good God.
The group responsible was thought to have quit the server years ago, but they've been pulling the strings from behind the scenes the entire time. What's remarkable is that this exploit shows how fundamentally flawed Minecraft as a game actually is. One person even tried to warn the community that this was happening, but they were written off.
No matter the TPS, no matter the queue size, always remains these accounts on. Okay. So like so you see this in speedrunning a lot. Elon Musk, of course. But you see this in speedrunning a lot, where like, there are ways in speedrunning that if you put in certain strings of characters, you can trick the game into running your characters as like part of the program script. And that's how people will sometimes like warp to the end credits or give themselves a million items or something. So I'm wondering if this is going to be something similar.
As crazy and
I know,
no
shut
one
up and watch
listened.
the video, but...
Prepare yourselves.
Cool,
For
more
today,
Matrix.
We'll be discussing NoCom, the most powerful exploit in Minecraft history, explaining who discovered it, how it was possible from a technical perspective, and the complete and utter destruction it caused.
Oh, that's so cool,
this
though!
Video has been 3 years in the making and has required months of research and gathering testimony. So, if you consider hitting that subscribe button, you are an absolute legend. With that being said, let's get started. Since the server began in 2010, players have always attempted to use exploits in order to gain an advantage over others. If you haven't seen my video, the day 2B2T almost died,
I watched that. I don't know if I made a video on it or not.
In 2016, a group of players that went by the name Nerds Incorporated attempted to take over the server through the use of hacking and social engineering.
It's Tristan! Okay, so are Tristan and Pop Bob coming together here for some sort of ultimate evil? This is like, it's like the grand arc of like a Marvel series or something.
They actually succeeded at their plan and had
Dude, I wanted to make fun of the name Nerds Inc., but like these, you don't want to end up on the wrong side of these people, so I have no desire
to admin powers. But it was short-lived and they eventually lost them. Many members of the Nerds would go inactive, and for a couple of years, not much was heard from them. Until 2 years later, in 2018. 2 players, Ox22 and Bubba J, were both server regulars.
So did Fit say he's been sitting on this? No, he said it took 3 months. I was sitting here like, so he knew about this and he was just waiting until he could get a good video? No, he said 3 months, so that makes perfect sense. Also, I like this command prompt skin.
That had an interest
That's
in
someone that would
Minecraft
hack a server, let's be honest.
They had recently discovered a way to crash the server by loading a massive amount of chunks at the same time. The most simple thing you can do in Minecraft is breaking a block, and to do this, you need to click on it. What the exploit did was click on blocks everywhere across the map, even if they were out of render distance. This forced the server to use an incredible amount of resources attempting to load chunks that had never been visited by players. Thousands upon thousands of chunks were loaded in a matter of seconds, causing incredible amounts of lag, and eventually the server would crash.
Dude, and that sucks too, because like, it reminds me, so again, I watch FitMC streams almost every Sunday when he does them, and a lot of it involves following chunk trails to try and find where people's bases are. And the problem with that is some Sundays Fit will go follow giant chunk trails and not find anything. It's probably because these idiots were loading all of them from half a server away just to...
Instead of abusing this new exploit right away, Ox and Bubba J...
Like, I don't even understand the point of this exploit. Like, okay, so I've come to understand, 2B2T hates new players. Okay, that's fine. They don't want new players on the server. Okay, that's fine. But like, why is your goal to make the thing you enjoy unplayable? I don't like that does not compute in my brain.
Started theorizing.
Maybe you can let me know in the comments.
To their advantage. There was a way that they could turn this crash exploit into a coordinate exploit.
Of course,
but they needed the proper conditions first.
Silly me.
You see, the majority of multiplayer servers in the Java edition of Minecraft run something called FitMC, which fixes bugs and makes the game more stable. Occasionally, though, a bug fix can lead to a vulnerability that can be exploited to someone's advantage.
True.
Anytime there was a server-breaking exploit, 2B2T's admin, Housemaster, would have to report the issue to FitMC. If they could crash the server to produce a specific out-of-memory message to House,
this is all gibberish.
He would report the bug. The most obvious fix to this would be to have chunks only respond to the server if they were loaded by a player, which could reveal someone's location.
Okay, so, alright, so I think I understand. So like, if you, in theory, it's almost like, it's kind of like a telescope, but like, say you look out in the distance, like you look straight ahead of you, nothing is loaded. Then you move over one tick this way, you go this way, something's loaded way out there. Then you go back here and you go whoop, straight out, and then something else is loaded. In theory, you would be able to deduce, okay, a person just moved from spot A to spot B. but you wouldn't know who that person is. You wouldn't know if there's a base there. Like, all you would know is that somebody exists X amount of dots in the distance.
It was genius.
So I still
the two shared their plan with
I still don't get why that is.
Who was a member of Nerds Incorporated.
What's up, Gordon Freeman?
The same group that tried to take over the server in 2016.
Tristan.
He confirmed that their plan could work if paper developers were to implement the obvious fix. And so they set their plan into motion.
Hang on. So they did the Galaxy Brain strat of essentially breaking the game to get the fix that would break the game even further. I guess I was wrong about this, because that is a form of social engineering, so I guess I was wrong about that. But again, like, you know, Bob and John Johnson just been playing 2B2T for 5 years. Like, they're not going to stand a chance. They don't know that's going on.
Of 2018.
What a mess.
They would begin crashing the server as fast and hard as they could, making it unplayable. Each crash would notify House that players were attempting to click blocks out of render distance, and it was causing the server to go haywire.
By the way, imagine being Housemaster, right? Just some dude, you own a couple 7-Elevens or whatever Housemaster does, and like all day, these kids are just bothering you, crashing your server over and over again. You're like, dude, I just want to get through my day.
Reported the issue to paper on July 12th, and later the very same day, the exact bug fix the group was hoping for was implemented. When attempting to click blocks out of render distance.
Dude, the only thing that surprises me about this is that the group didn't have somebody working at FitMC that pushed through the fix that they wanted. Like, that level of thing is not surprising to me anymore about 2B.
The server would only give a response if a chunk was loaded by a player. They now had the proper conditions for their coordinate exploit, and the following day, July 13th, they had their first working version, but it was very primitive. They would keep an AFK account in the overworld, and it would attempt to click blocks in all chunks leading away from spawn in a spiral pattern. If a chunk responded, it would send the coordinates privately in chat. Any chunks that gave a response were then charted on a graph. Bubba J would begin using the exploit to find and destroy item stashes.
Okay, I get it. Because seeing this, makes sense to me. Because I like that half of these have to be blocked out. Of course they do. But, okay. So if one person is pinged in an area, whatever. But if you're pinging like 15, 20 people in the same place at the same time, you can kind of make it into a heat map and be like, all right, if 20 people are here, there's got to be something here.
Which started a panic in the community, wanting to keep the exploit as low profile as possible.
Yeah, and that looks like what they
suggested a name for it. NoCom, short for no comment. This way, if the exploit name was somehow leaked, it wouldn't raise any red flags. As a member of Nerds Incorporated, Frickin' told the others in the group about the exploit, and they were brought into the...
Are Tristan and Pop Bob a part of this, or is Fit just using them because they've been characters in other videos?
Circle of Trust. In August of 2018,
spiral of trust, really.
I released a video discussing the crash exploit that had already been patched, but while doing research for that video, I asked Bubba J if he knew anything about the exploit. He replied with no comment. Little did I know at the time, he was actually telling me the name of the exploit. It was...
That's a Galaxy Brain! Galaxy Brain! Like, literally, you can just... Dude, that is literally just walking right by security like you belong, straight into the club, and they do nothing.
Sight, and we were all oblivious to it.
That's so awesome.
In the following months, the primitive version of the exploit would prove to be tedious. It was slow, resource intensive, and there was no easy way to differentiate between actual
It's almost like you could be doing literally anything else with your time.
In most cases, the charted chunks were just empty wilderness. There was also no easy way to tell which specific player was in the loaded chunks. They needed some sort of automation. Enter Legerve. a talented programmer and the lead developer of Baritone, a program that automated actions in Minecraft.
What?
Lejerv had
What the hell is this?
Automated actions in Minecraft.
So it gives you the ability to shoot lightning from your hands, apparently.
Lejerv had legitimate experience with machine learning, so the nerds requested his help in making the exploit more powerful. He accepted the challenge and was brought into the circle of trust.
Who are these people? Like, that level of experience is like a 6-figure plus job. Easily. And like not the kind of job where you have to work a lot either. Just the kind of job where they pay you to be on call in case the machines get broken and then you unplug them and plug them back in. Why is this guy using his... Why are they using their superpowers
over
for
the
evil?
Next few months, his contributions would change everything. The first order of business was making searches more efficient. A program was taught to follow players once it identified them. They were located by running checks all the way up and down 2B2T's major highways, and then followed them to wherever they were going.
Oh, crap. And then, okay. Again, I'm going to speculate as to how this works. If you were to cross-reference every, I don't know, X number of seconds, so you're following, right, Spiderweb, you're following every player. Then you are like, okay, everybody, I gotta use this hand. Everybody is here, you know? Okay, everyone's in this spot. Now let's see who's online. Okay, everyone's here. There's one dot missing. Who logged off? This person. Okay, so then this person must have been there, and this was the path they walked. That's so, my God. That's just nuts. That's so... Like, and I know I've paused this a lot, and I know we're only 8 minutes in, but, like, it's mind-breaking.
Instead of searching in a spiral pattern starting at spawn, an adaptive tracking system would predict where players were headed.
Of course it would.
The easiest way to describe this exploit is like a game of Battleship, and the enemy ships are players on the server.
Makes sense.
You can't actually see where they are, and no matter what spot you choose to fire on, your opponent must tell you whether you hit a ship or you've missed. On 2B2T, your opponent is the server itself, and instead of firing missiles, you're trying to click blocks in chunks that you can't see.
Except I feel like Housemaster wasn't smirking as much as his skin would indicate when he found this out.
Or not loaded. After it learned to track players, the program would use probability association to identify
Because of course it would.
It would notice when specific accounts were connecting and disconnecting from the server.
Oh, yeah.
If a trail of chunks was suddenly unloaded at the same time someone disconnected,
I did a smart.
It began to associate that username with the chunk trail.
That makes sense.
So after 2 or 3 disconnects, it had a clear idea of who was actually in those chunks. This also allowed the program to chart how far a player had gone in a specific session of Minecraft. By this point, AFK accounts were being used in all 3 dimensions.
But how, see, and I don't understand how they could have AFK accounts that are literally on 24/7. That, in a game where even if you have priority access, the queue is like hundreds of people long, it feels like it would kick you for that. Although, I do think that some of their heat maps were probably pretty interesting, because, like, people were doing tons of random building at spawn in the last year plus. So, like, they probably have tons of data that are just, this person walked in this circle for 10 hours.
All player movements were being tracked. Lejerv shared with me how the math behind the adaptive tracking system works for this video, and as you can see, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. From there, the program was taught to search all incoming chunk information for unnatural blocks, such as shulkers, stained glass, beacons, multiple chests, etc. If these blocks were found, the program would then recreate the chunks in a separate instance of Minecraft. What you are looking at is an actual 2B2T base being reconstructed in real time.
Get the hell out of here! You could... That makes sense. Because it'll... What? So, okay. Because 2B2T... But then they would have to know Because I guess what they're doing is like comparing the regular, the seed, you know, seed 2 or whatever 2B2T is. They're comparing that to what they're finding, and if you find something different, it copies and pastes it over. But the problem is, you don't know when those chunks were loaded. Those chunks could be, you know, loaded from version 1.2 of Minecraft, and that's going to look different than if the chunk was loaded in 1.10 or something.
The program has identified these chunks as a legitimate base. It's taking the block information and comparing it to what should be there on 2B2T,
and just building a random ass base. God,
after running the check, it
Some
then
people,
displays
man.
what is different. Once the process is complete, the world download is automatically stored on a separate database. This feature effectively gave the nerds a form of spectator mode and allowed them to see what was happening in any loaded chunks on the server.
I guess at least it's good that they have a world download of all these bases that they completely ruined, but it's like, what are the odds that they would ever make that public, you know? Like, what are the odds that they're gonna be like, hey, here's what the base we destroyed looked like before we destroyed it?
Here, you can see an
because then I could almost forgive them, at least like we know, you know, at least that way there's a record.
This one is named Electric Boogaloo. You can see how it starts from nothing, just a few random checks per chunk. Then it grabs and explores areas that are likely to be part of the build.
It builds it out like
back
Battleship.
And
That's so
sections
crazy.
periodically to see if any changes have been made. With all of these adaptive programming changes,
dude, I feel so bad for those people.
The nerd's original exploit. What happened next was nothing short of incredible.
No. I'm guessing it's all gonna get destroyed. I like this song, though.
The no-com exploit was now the most powerful in Minecraft history. They were visually tracking every single
Oh God, is that what that is?
The entire server in real time at 1 second intervals.
Jeebus.
Every chunk trail, base location, and player logout spot was now compromised. Heat maps allowed them to see where the most player activity was happening at all times. They would acquire so much data using this exploit that everything I've mentioned so far is just the tip of the iceberg. It was the ultimate power.
And I mean, it probably literally understood where everything is. Like, my guess is your only hope of survival is to be as far away from spawn as humanly possible. And that's to assume that they're not going to set up more AFK accounts farther away. So, okay, every base that's 10 plus years old, that's 5 plus years old, that's 2 plus years old, has been blown up at this point. Like, why would anybody play anymore? There's not even any history left.
Nerds had to show an incredible amount of restraint in using it. Because it was possible due to a paper vulnerability, this meant that the exploit could work on other servers as well.
Dude, how many people's lives did they ruin?
The exploit had to be kept a secret, and to do that, the group would have to feed the community false information for years to keep them from finding out the truth.
The social engineering, you gotta do it.
A coordinate exploit being used on the server, the nerds would brush it off as paranoia, or make up a different exploit with enough believability that people would buy it. What they were effectively doing was gaslighting. In the English language, one way to describe
I thought going to
gaslighting
2B2T, I'd get away from this.
Person that
from the Dream
memories
SMP.
Of an event are not accurate. For example, let's say that when you were a young child, your parents took you to an amusement park, and while there, they gave you a red balloon.
All right.
If I wanted to gaslight you, I would say, your balloon wasn't red, it was green. Don't you remember? Now, this is an obvious lie.
You're right.
If I repeat this statement,
odd of you to remember that, but okay.
You might start to believe that you were misremembering, that your balloon was actually green. This strategy of making people question their own realities is what the nerds had been doing to the community for years. Several of my previous videos involving coordinate exploits had explanations such as tracking ender pearl teleportations or triangulating a base by observing a pet teleporting. The reality was that while these methods were actual exploits, they were used as a cover for the no-com exploit.
Dude, now they're finding exploits to cover up the fact that they were finding exploits. Like, what even...
True method
what do you even
along.
do at that point?
Having believable explanations for bases and stashes being found was crucial. In 2019, the nerds would start utilizing their exploit more and more. Their use of it would lead to the leaking or griefing of many prominent bases
greedy,
on the server, such as Space Valk 3, the Ice Dragon at Niflheim,
God, that's
the
so
Great
cool.
Tree, and many more. Sometimes they would just leak the coordinates outright and let aspiring griefers take care of the rest. The nerds began a campaign called Dipper Nation and used memes to troll the community about the true nature of the exploit. What's funny is that
Yeah, that's about what I expect, you know, somebody involved in these activities to...
in their base leak screenshots,
But who would believe this, right? Who would believe it? Because, like, you know, I feel like every time I see Fit doing his streams, any of the limited times that chat has been possible to see, everybody is always just base here, base this, base that, stash here, stash that, free items, and either it's a trick to kill you, a trick to trap you, a trick to find your base, or like, you know what I mean? Like, all of this stuff is usually just a way to screw you over. So, like, why anybody would believe this makes no sense to me.
They did not actually visit those places in person. They were using remote viewing to see what the base looked like. They could do entire builds without even lifting a finger. It seemed like the group was unstoppable. But in the later part of 2019, they would hit a major roadblock. BibleBot, one of the AFK accounts that had been used to obtain chunk information, was locked by Mojang due to suspicious activity
Let's
involving
go! Bring the hammer!
servers. Around this time,
they've got to get their comeuppance, right? They can't just destroy everything and now 2B2T is dead. I refuse to believe that that is going to be what happened.
Would also lower the server's packet limit by a substantial amount. This meant it was no longer possible to use the exploit by only having a single account.
Attaboy house!
Multiple AFK accounts would have to be used in order to maintain the rate at which data was pulled from the server. Lejerv would also
But eventually, if they can get access to... Because what's the capacity on 2B2T? Isn't it like a couple hundred? Few hundred? So if they've got 20 AFK accounts, what's to stop them from just making so many AFK accounts that they control the entire server and they just lock everybody else out?
Retool his machine learning program to overcome these limits. After a few months of downtime,
to work!
The exploit was back up and running more efficiently than ever. But realizing that more data limits could effectively shut them down, they decided that showing restraint in using the exploit was no longer an option. Of the group members,
total destruction.
Ox22, Bubba J, and Lejerv were all members of a separate organization called the Spawn Masons, who had become well known on the server for many of their ambitious projects.
Not the UWU people, the other people.
Large amounts of stash coordinates from the NOCOM database and began providing them to the Masons with no questions asked. A subgroup of the Masons, led by a player named Dectonic, would scout out each stash for useful building blocks and decide whether to give it up to the group to steal or destroy it. Over the course of 2020, the group would steal from and then destroy hundreds of stashes around the server.
God, and these people like don't even have a chance. That's the thing that I'm always like, dude, that sucks. Like, and I can't even say that they didn't, because it's one thing in 2B2T if you trust somebody with the location to your base and they betray you. But like in this case, just existing on the server is betraying yourself. And trying to wrap my brain around, like, that's giving me a headache, trying to wrap my brain around that.
In total, the Masons would acquire more than 200 million Minecraft items from these stashes.
But why do they need them? Like, they probably have their own dupes and stuff.
Anyone able to use the NOCOM exploit had a major advantage over everyone else. While the exploit was running flawlessly, and House was still unaware of the original vulnerability, someone began to notice that something was not right. A player named Zero Neb realized that there were at least 4 accounts logged into the server 24/7. Being able to stay online without getting AFK kicked is very hard, so multiple accounts doing it instantly raised a red flag. ZeroNeb began to suspect that the accounts were being used for an exploit.
Oh, yeah, and the reason the AFK accounts didn't get kicked is because the machine learning dude probably, you know, automated enough actions that it didn't look like they were AFK. But why not kill them? Just get rid of them.
Of some kind, and he started inquiring about it. His original messages to the nerds had been ignored, but upon mentioning the AFK accounts, he was surprised to see them respond. They dismissed his claim as paranoia and that he was being ridiculous. ZeroNeb would attempt to bring these findings to the attention of the greater community, but he was either ignored or laughed at. The nerds would actually program one of their AFK accounts to randomly message Neb with random strings of Morse code from time to time, fueling his paranoia to all-time highs.
Now their entire purpose is to just troll this dude. Are you kidding me?
Nerds would spend the rest of 2020 trolling ZeroNeb, raiding stashes, and continuing to expand their database of locations. But in 2021,
and just making life hell for everybody, which I guess is why they do it.
Upon the original paper vulnerability. Enter Steve 3, Mahan, and Redstoner, 3 associates of a group called the Infinity.
I recognize the name Redstoner.
They had developed a brute force version of the exploit, but far more primitive. At first, they used it to observe the highways, but after some optimizations, they were able to find base and stash coordinates just like the nerds could. But
like, why not, you know, just play Minecraft? It is you can play Minecraft. I swear, it's not that boring. Like, you can just play on the server. Looks like you got a nice little group of friends there. Just play. Just have, you know, hey, I found diamond. I found emerald. We're having a good time. Why not just do that?
When it came to tracking
hit the button too much. I'm losing it over here.
They could only follow one person at a time, instead of the hundreds that the nerds could. Now, with the ability to only follow one person at a time, I want you to take a guess as to who they decided to track. To
Mr. Beast?
To absolutely no one's surprise, it was me. In May of 2021, I was base hunting on my Sunday morning live streams. I'd been using an alt account and at the time, had not logged into my main account Fit for quite a while. I'm usually pretty good at concealing my location, but somehow I was getting found every single week, which was highly unusual. While stream snipes have happened in the past, they're pretty uncommon occurrences and are usually complete accidents. But to keep getting found every single week, despite being hundreds of thousands of blocks away from spawn, I knew.
Oh wait, aren't all of those, like, aren't the books, aren't the shulkers, aren't the stuff, isn't all of that like a way to ban people? Like, I'm pretty sure that everything they were doing would get him banned if he read the book or
was being used.
Did any of that stuff.
Sure enough, the stream snipers revealed that they had been tracking me using their exploit. They knew exactly where my account was at all times. I even caught one of them attempting to sell the coordinates of my logout spot for real-world money.
What?
At this point,
for how much?
I knew that my main account was not safe to log in with, which is why at the time of me making this video, I haven't logged into it for over 4 months. In early June, the exploit was starting to go public, with more groups starting to gain access to it. Throughout all of June and July, bases and stashes began to fall. The server was going into doomsday mode, with players afraid to even log in out of fear of their bases being blown up.
It's so, see, that's what I'm saying, like, what? So the goal, like, is the goal of 2B2T to make it so that nobody can play 2B2T? I don't understand that. I don't know. Again, maybe if I was on the other side of it and I had discovered some game-breaking bug and the ability to ruin, no, because I wouldn't ruin people's days. I wouldn't ruin stuff that's 10 years old. But it's funny because Fit actually found on one of his base hunting streams, like, a base that had been griefed that was like this old, gigantic base. And it's got me wondering if these people got to it, like, around the same time he did.
15,000 locations had already been compromised,
That's so
regardless of who was online
man.
or not. It was during this chaos that I was finally.
And it's not even like if Housemaster wanted to, he could reload like a previous snapshot or something, because they still have the coordinates, so they just go right back there again.
The true power of the exploit. If you saw my previous video, you already know that 10 of us joined forces to grief a base belonging to a player named Beardler. After the grief took place, I actually received a message from Ox22. He had tracked my alt and the accounts of everyone else to the staging area a few days before the grief. Since Beardler had been tracked to that very same location months previously, they already knew why we were there. By using remote viewing, the nerds were able to see the TNT being placed on the actual builds. Without even speaking
that is bananas!
They knew our plan. It was possible to use.
They literally, it's like a TV show. Like they were just watching the grief, and they could have watched it as it happened.
The exploit to predict events before they actually happened. I was stunned. I knew the exploit was powerful.
These nerds, they can't have a base, right? They stole 200 million items. Where are they putting it? Because if they can do this, somebody probably did it to them, right? So like, why build a base at that point? Why not just be a roving gang of nomads?
But not that powerful. By this point, the community had reached the breaking point.
That's a cool shot.
With many emailing House to warn him about the original FitMC vulnerability. The Masons knew.
Are you sure? It sounds like everyone's just using it.
So they went on one final killing spree, hunting every new player at spawn they could find. Finally, on July 15th, 2021,
literally a month ago today,
3 years after the original exploit was created, House implemented a range limit that effectively destroyed it. Accounts were no longer being tracked, and the server would not give information about faraway chunks. But the damage had been done. The exploit had left a trail of destruction spanning multiple years across the entire server. Zero Neb, who had been written off as crazy, was actually right all along. He had warned the community, but no one had listened. The total amount of data that the nerds had collected on the entire server was well over 2 terabytes.
What? Wait, that would cost so much money to store. Or no, I guess not. No, I guess it's not that bad. I don't know why I thought I was saying like petabytes, but still, 2 terabytes of data on people in a block game in Minecraft is ridiculous. And also, I'm not making accusations, but I would not have been surprised to find out down the road that Neb was actually a part of their group, and that whole thing was another smokescreen to delegitimize the fact that they could be doing anything shady. Like that, why that would surprise anybody is beyond me.
The majority of the base and stash locations.
So what do we do now? Do we build more bases?
Were still located on their private server.
2B2T stream, like you guys down? Let me know in the comments.
Drama. They were the ones pulling the strings from behind the scenes all along. They never truly quit. As someone who has played Minecraft for over 11 years, the fallout of this exploit has given me a unique perspective. The reason the title of this video is called The Fall of Minecraft's 2B2T is because the server that we've played on all these years, the one that was compromised by the nerds, has finally fallen.
Yeah.
With the exploit patched, a new 2B2T can rise from the ashes. While the destruction on the server is going to get a lot worse before it gets better, we can now travel in peace, knowing we aren't being tracked by the all-seeing eye in the sky.
Can you though?
Everything that happens here
Can you really? Like, are we really... Phase Bill Clinton. Are we really supposed to believe that this is the end of this? Are we really supposed to believe that people aren't sitting on more information, bigger information, badder exploits? Like, people have told me never to log on to 2B2T on my main. I'm a nobody on you, so why wouldn't I? And then like they can get your IP address, and I'm like, well, that would kind of suck. But like, I don't know, you know, like, well, it's so weird, dude. It's so weird, and I love the drama, and I love the stories, and I love everything associated with it. I just also know to keep it over there and to keep me over here,
driven by real
players for the safety of everyone involved.
Motives. For a group of notorious hackers to socially engineer a server admin to open up a vulnerability and using machine learning to create the most powerful exploit in Minecraft history.
Imagine what they could do if they wanted to be productive members of society.
It's as real as it gets. And that is why there is no other place in Minecraft like 2B2T.
You're damn right about that.
We've always been playing a completely different game. The moral of today's story, no comment.
Oh, you
the
cheeky
question now
bald bastard.
Is what happens next? That was a long video, so if you enjoyed,
it was remarkable.
Like and
holy
subscribe
crap,
button.
Was that a good
also,
one?
make sure to follow my socials. So take it easy, Fit.
Nobody should be able to be this handsome and this good at Minecraft and this good at radio talking. That's all I'm saying. But let's get through the rest of it.
Fam, and you can finally breathe easy.
Wait, he gave a shout out to Lejerve? Did Redstoner, did these people? No, because I guess once it was already done, they had no reason to, they had no reason to not talk.
Fam, and you can
half the fun of doing it is bragging about it, right? FitMC. Oh my goodness. What do you even say about that? Like that cements all of the feelings that I've had all along about 2B2T. You know, why would you do it? Why? And everyone says it's part of the natural cycle of things, that you want to just build and understand it's going to be destroyed, but you build anyway. But like when you do that, you're not building assuming that somebody is, like Dream back here. You're not building assuming that somebody is literally just like right over your shoulder the whole time you're building, like, that's a nice base you got there. Be a shame if something were to happen to it. You know, like you think you have some anonymity, you think you have some secrecy, and then to find out that nobody did all along, I don't know. Again, and they don't want new people there anyway, so me saying I don't want to play, like that's exactly what they want. But yeah, I'll end this video like I always do. I am not endorsing that you play on 2B2T. I'm not suggesting anybody new join 2B2T, all of that good stuff, because I don't want anyone coming after me. I just think this is a pretty awesome video to check out. So on that note, my friends, take care and make sure that nobody griefs your bases. I'll see you next time.